I wanted to make this video for anyone who is in college and is worried how things are going to work out. It was about 5 years ago that I was last year at Harvard when I was graduating, but now things have worked out, or they've at least changed. And I want to talk about, in particular, what are the different choices and interests I had and the fears I had when I was here on campus and how they've translated into what my life looks like today. So I took this clip in October of 2024, which is only a few months ago. And as I watch it back, I don't think I said things perfectly. And so I'm just going to add a little bit of context, little additional things as we go through. So I'm going to watch it back with you right now. So let's get started. I remember the first time that I met my roommate, Sean. We were just getting to know each other, and we walked from our dorm, which is a little ways away, to here in the yard. We were sitting down on these chairs like this. And I remember at the time, I had fears about being successful. And I think in part when you get to Harvard, you think like, all right, I'm now at Harvard, I need to go make something happen. And you know the story of Mark Zuckerberg, and you know of these people that have made big impacts. And you think, all right, how am I gonna do something that's like that? And so for me, I thought what I wanted to do was take computer science courses, and that was the way that I would sort of, make things work out for me professionally. So this fear that I'm talking about here was this desire to be professionally successful, particularly in other people's eyes. And I had this particular archetype in my mind of how I imagined that my career might go, that I might be this sort of entrepreneur founder and that I should take economics and computer science courses to get myself there. As it turned out, when I got here to campus, I found that there were all these other topics that I was more interested in, and these other projects that I wanted to do in my free time that were not coding and building apps and all this. This was also the time that I started making videos, and I got my first camera, and I started this series that was called Ideas in Ian, where I was just sort of like making little videos around campus.
Welcome back to Ideas in Ian. It's been a little while since I've made a video, so I'm a little rusty.
And as I look back, I'm very embarrassed about these videos. I don't think they were particularly good. But what I'm proud that I did is I started a little project, I gave it a name, and I started, doing stuff around it. And I didn't know if it was gonna lead to a job. I didn't do it because it was gonna lead to a job. I just did it because it was interesting to me. And when I think back to this stage, what I really see is I was being confronted with the reality of the things that I was actually interested in versus the path that I thought I should be interested in. Economics class was hard. Computer science was hard for me. I wasn't as intrinsically motivated about these topics as I thought I would be, or as I thought I should be, with where I thought I should go. And the other thread of things I was really interested in was traveling and taking every opportunity that I could to go to different countries. And this ended up having a cool through line in my later life, because then I moved to Germany right after I graduated here, and I worked in a tech company out there, not because I was interested in advancing my career and working at the highest profile company, but because I wanted to live in Germany and have that life experience, which is another decision I made that I'm glad that I did make. Another thing that was so important is just like giving myself permission in this time to lean into these things that I was interested in, like allowing myself to do that side project with the videos, like allowing myself over the summer to go visit some of the places I was interested in. It was only like by leaning into those a little bit that it gave me the signal that I wanted to lean in more. And so if I had denied that to myself and I'd said, oh no, you're on a particular path, just be focused on that path, I wouldn't have had these early signals, which then led to greater signals, which then sort of compounded in ways that were ultimately really important and interesting for me. This interest in video that I had when I was in college ended up turning into this thing. Well, now for my job, what I do is I make videos for a tech company, and they're marketing tech videos. And it was a skill set that I totally didn't think it was going to turn into my job. It was just my hobby at the time, and now it's turned and it's come back in my life in interesting ways. What I'm not doing is what I imagined I would be doing before, which is like starting a company and like building some impressive tech thing myself, but I found that I am currently now in that world, but just how I'm contributing to it is a way that is much more authentic to my interests and the things that I cultivated and I learned when I was here. Now my roommate Sean, he loved computers and he also loved math. So that's a bit reductive. Sean had a whole bunch of interests that were not both computer science and math, but he was very, very good at those and took very advanced, cool courses in those topics because he was interested in them as topics, not because he was trying to use them to get somewhere, right? He was interested in them for themselves. And so for him, when he was here, really, he took always 6 classes every semester. His concern was not how do I get the best tech job, but it was how do I learn these really complicated topics and take the hardest courses. Where that's led him now is he works at this really awesome AI company in San Francisco that's called Cognition, building this tool called Devin, which is really on the forefront of one of the coolest technical problems that's currently being solved anywhere. And so it's really cool that that's how it's worked out for him, but he had no idea that's exactly what he wanted to do. Really what his interest was is this is the technical things that interest me. I just want to learn about them. And then that's how it pivoted into now what he's doing today. If I were to summarize what I've been talking about today, it's basically that by following the things I was really interested in, it's led to very cool outcomes for me. And I think that it's done the same for all my friends as well. There was this narrative of the thing that you think you will be doing professionally. And then there was this narrative of the things that you were genuinely curious about. And it was these things that actually led to the very interesting things professionally. It wasn't us having a master plan and thinking about that job and then ultimately going to Harvard and learning all the skills to get that job. It was instead us going for these things that were interesting to us and seeing where they took us, and they took us to interesting and very cool and places where we would all look at ourselves today and say, yes, we've made it in a sense. We have lives that we're really happy with. Me and Sean, we live in San Francisco, and we live like 2 blocks from each other now, and so we see each other all the time. Maybe watching this, you think to yourself, oh, my interests are similar to yours. Maybe you like making videos. Maybe their interests similar to Sean's. I want to encourage you to take whatever that thing is and give yourself the permission to be curious and to do it, because really that's what has led to things I'm really happy with today. And I think you, in 5 years, you may look back at yourself and your story, and you may say the same thing that I'm saying right now.
And I don't say this to brag. I don't say this to be on our high horse, like, oh, we have great jobs and it's we're doing our passions. Like no, that's not the point. The point is that in college we had these insecurities, or at least I had these insecurities. That was like, wow, I really don't know how this is all going to play out, and I don't know if I should really make these choices. I don't know if I should move to Germany after graduating. I don't know if I should, just be focused on some career I want to get, or if I should give myself more flexibility and lean into these other topics that were just interesting to me. And I'm so glad that I did the latter of those options. And I'm so glad that I moved to Germany. I'm so glad I leaned into my interest in travel. I'm so glad I leaned into this interest in video and leaned into it and saw where it took me. And I hope that anyone else watching this too, that you know what these things are for yourself. And I think by leaning into them and taking little steps towards them, you should feel completely confident doing that, and confident knowing that it'll ultimately lead to a career and a profession that is really fulfilling and satisfying to you. At least it has, for me, it has for some of my closest friends. And so I hope by sharing that, I can sort of quell some of these insecurities or some of these thoughts that may keep you up at night, as they did for me. Anyways, thank you for watching. If there's any question you have that I can be helpful from my experience, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, and I'll see you next week.